on the compass. So what I'm going to have to do is turn my compass around until, do you see the two ends? You're going to be doing this in a minute, so I sure hope you're paying attention. Do you see the N on that needle? You see the N on the needle? Yes or no? Come on, wake up. Yes. Do you see the N on the outside?
Yeah.
See that? You see the N now? So what you first have to do is you have to put the needle right on top. I'm going to leave that on. Actually, I'm not, because it's going to confuse you because it's backwards. What the overhead does is it flips it around. But what I want you to do now is I want you to all stand up and get with your partner. And what I need you to do is we're going to form a circle, because that's the easiest thing for us to do. So form a circle, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to check you. Come on, Ryan. Come on down. Come on, you three will get together. Yep. Okay, you have to kind of close in your circle. Oops, and I have to get a compass. Here you go, Katie. Hold that in front of you. Okay, we're going to pretend we're lost in the woods, and we're going to try to figure out how we're going to get ourselves out of here. No, one for every two. Jimmy, you're going to be with Todd for right now. Todd's got one. No, the ones that are out. Now, okay, what you need, first of all, is notice that it has to be flat. So what you have to do, the person who's holding the compass right now, put your hand flat out like this, totally flat. Okay, everybody should have one of the little needles. Just put it flat. And you have a needle that has, some of these compasses do not work as good as others, because people have dropped them. And when we drop them, unfortunately, do you remember what happens to a magnet when you start dropping it a lot? It breaks, doesn't it? Okay, right now, most of you have, if you have this little clear one like I had, you have a little N. The rest of you have a point that has some paint on it, right? Correct? I want you to all now look in the direction that is pointing. And you know what? You need to I know the problem. I have my, let's see. I have to get the magnets out of here. That's the problem. Excuse me, let me get by here. Uh-huh. I thought they all worked fine. All right, keep it flat. What you need to do now is I want you to all tell me, by showing me with your hand, which way is that needle pointing? Point in the direction. The one with the paint on it, Sean. Which way is the one with the paint on it pointing? Point in that direction. That needle with that point is pointing that way. Which way is it going? That way. Look at way I'm pointing. Is your needle pointing that way? That's correct. What way do you think that is? What? Hold it. That painted needle has to point what way? North. It is only pointing north. So now, the person that does not have the compass, hold it, is going to turn the compass in your hand so that that painted needle is right on top of the N. Let me just scoot in. Right on top of the N. It's going to quiver a little, yep. Put it right on top of the N. Okay, great. That's the first step in using a compass. It's going to move a little. It is. You're not going to be able to stop it. We have a lot of things made out of metal in the room, and using a compass, we should be outside, because if we're in contact, you saw, with magnets, it's going to throw it off, or metal. Great, so now your colored side should be still over there, right? And it is. Now we're outside. We have found which way north is. Now be careful, listen carefully. Know that I'm at a spot that I have to walk east in order for me to get out of the woods. I know my car was parked in the east. So, you know which way is north. I want you to look on that compass and find the E and point to the direction where the E is. Not to where the needle is going. Which way would be east? Okay, first that's north. Your compass is always going to be pointing north. Which way is east? Good. Everybody said that way. Right? Now listen, what you're going to do. You're out in the woods. Have you ever heard of people walking around and around in circles? Uh-huh. What they didn't is they didn't know how to use a compass. What you have to do now is you want to walk east. If you're in the woods, excuse me, you would need to look east and take what they call a sighting. So in other words, we look over in that direction and we say, the letter what on the board looks like it's in the east? Look back at your compass. Which letter is probably east? Is it going that way? Is east that way? Look at your compass. Where's E? This has to stay on the north. Which way is east? That way. What you just did is you made a sighting. Which letter are you going to walk to? Am I going to walk to Z?
No.
Am I going to walk to the flag? No. I'm going to walk somewhere in between. Then take your compass and hold it carefully in your hand because you would not want to get hurt. So what you do now is you walk over to that letter. Go ahead. Hold that compass. You don't need the compass anymore. You took a sighting. So now you're all over and in the woods. Do you think I'd find letters? What would I find? What would I be looking for? A tree. So when I took my sighting, I would look off and say, oh, there's a tree that's in the east. I would walk directly to that tree. Exactly. Now once I'm at the tree, I'm in the east. Now I realize I have to also walk south. So what I want you to do is the other person, please take the compass. You need to be together because you're partners. Get your compass going so it's pointing north and direct. Well, we'll take care of it. Ryan, where's Ryan? Ryan, let me have yours for a minute and you share with Roger. Okay, there you go. Make it north. Whoops, just going to swing it around. Does everybody have it on the end? And come around and check. Okay. Sure it is. It's going to move if you move. Get it on the end. Does everybody have it on the end? Anthony, you don't have it on the end. You got to be flat in your hand. Okay, excuse me. Take a sighting. We're going to walk south. Look at which way is south. Turn around. Look in the room and tell me where would I walk. I most certainly would. We're not going to go back there because we'll trip on everything. So what would I do? I would now look up from my compass and try to find a what? A tree or a rock or something else to help me then walk to that tree or rock. That's how you use a compass in the woods. If you don't do that, you're going to end up walking in circles. So you do not ever keep your compass in your hand and try to walk east. Is everybody clear on that? What you're going to do is put your compass in your hand, take a sighting, and then hold your compass. Why do I want to have a good firm hold on my compass? What would I be afraid of?
So you won't lose it or it will go off the track to where you need it?
Well, if I drop it or break it, what's going to happen? I'm dead, right? I'm stuck. Now I'm stuck in the woods and I have no way to get out. So once you've taken your sighting, you make sure you get a firm hold. Another day, hopefully if it gets a little warmer, we'll go outside. I'll give you different directions and we'll see if we all end up at the right spot. Please put your compasses in this box and go back to your seats. And Heidi, you're all set. Heidi, you're all set. You can go back to your room now. What's not working with it? Because maybe you didn't have it flat. Well, it's working now? Okay. All right, we'll see what you remember about compasses and magnets tomorrow and see how we can walk around and not get lost. Anybody's parents have compasses on their cars when they drive? Do they? Next time Mom and Dad take you for a trip, ask them to explain how it works. Or better yet, you explain to them how that compass works so that they don't get lost. Great. Take the books, close them up, and put them aside. Yep. Yes, and that's a special kind of magnet we'll talk about tomorrow, and we'll make some of those magnets. Those are special kinds of magnets, very useful magnets. No, they're not going to be that big. We cannot make a magnet that large. The next page talks about electromagnets. All right. The other day, we went down to the computer lab because we are taking part in that National Geographic Hello program, correct? How many people remember how to do longitude and latitude and do all the different things on the computer? Wonderful. Guess what? Tomorrow, you people are going to teach Mrs. Ostobchik's class how to do that exact thing, right? So we're going to go down tomorrow. We're going to go through that, and we're going to replot the schools that we are in contact with. What should happen when I take all your maps and turn them all into overheads and lay them on top of this overhead? What should happen, Sean?
It'll go backwards.
Yeah, it does go backwards, but should they be all different? Shouldn't the maps all be the same? Why not? Aren't you plotting all the same thing? Mm-hmm. We'll check and see. If you are very, very accurate, I should be able to stack up the maps and all the schools should line up, so we'll have to check. Another thing that we have to do is we need to send what's called a communication letter. How many schools are we in communication with? How many people remember?
12.
Not 12. 12 didn't sign up. Beth? 10. We have 10 different schools throughout the United States that we are working on this project. Remember, the project eventually is going to ask you about what? What is it about?
Favorite pets.
Pets. The pets that you have. In the present time, however, the project is now asking about your area. Because remember, this scientist wants to know, do different areas have different types of pets? That's what the scientist wants to find out. You're going to work in your groups for a few minutes. And what you have in front of you is the beginning of some information that we need to submit or transmit in the form of a letter to all the other schools that we are dealing with. So, what you have in front of you is basically what I wrote on our board. And I want you to listen carefully. Do you see on your paper where it says our school? Everybody's find that part? I want you to, you don't have to even look at this yet. So put your pencils down. And I want you to look up here because then you're going to discuss this in your group and you're going to take some notes. What they want to know is they want to know something about our school. They want to know how many students are in your school, how many different grades are in the school, how many are boys and how many are girls in our grade. So right here in our class. What would a visitor like to see if they came to our school? What do you think they might want to, you might want to bring? I don't want an answer right now. You're going to work in your groups. The next thing that you're going to look for is our community. What's our community? What does that mean? If I said to you, I'm going to write, you're going to write something about our community, what are you going to do, Nicole?
Write about town.
Yeah, the town, where you live. We have 3 words here that we've talked about early in the year, and we have to reach back in our brains and try to remember what they mean. Urban, suburban, and rural. Anybody remember what urban is? What does it mean if you live in the urban section? Anthony?
Like small cities?
City. So it's not necessarily small. It means you live in a city, like Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven. Do we live in a city? No. Anybody? If urban is city, what do you think rural is, Gregory?
Like a huge city?
No, it's not going to be a huge city. Yeah,
Town?
a little bit more.
State?
Well, we do live in states. Shane.
A small city near farm?
We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Part of what you said was right, Roger.
A country?
Country, way out in the country, farms. Not a lot of neighbors. Do we live out in the farm? Is it, when we look out, do we see not very many neighbors? All right, so we have two ends of the scale. We have urban, which means you live in the real tight city. Rural, which means you live way out in the country. What do you think we are, Vandaya? Which of the three?
Rural?
No, we're not rural. We're not farmland.
Suburban?
We are what's called suburban, right, which means we are between the city and the farmland. We have some farms here in Plainville, don't we? There are some people that have farms. We also have like a little tiny town in the center where you can buy things that has stores, but it's not a super duper busy city. So this is an answer. I've already given you the answer. We live in a suburban area. Where do most people live? You're going to talk about that in your groups. Do most of your friends live in apartments or houses? Very important. Now this one needs a little explanation. Do you have gardens around your house, or do you have what we call yards? I don't want the answer, Jim. I want you to listen. Okay, think about it. Different parts of the United States call the area around their house gardens. Certain areas call it yards. Think about what most people call around your house. Do our houses have fences around them, or do we not have fences pretty much? That means on the general whole. That doesn't mean if you have a fence, fine. It means when you drive down the street, do almost everybody have a fence around their yard or not? What other buildings are around? Okay, the next one, climate. We've done a lot of climate. Tell me, is our climate dry or is it humid? Describe the summer. Describe what the winter is like. They need a lot of information. Landscape. What does it look like when I look out? Is it flat or is it hilly? Are there mountains or woods? Name important rivers, lakes, or bodies of water that are around us. And tell me what types of wild animals live in this area. The next one is economy. An awful lot of writing they want. We're going to be doing a tremendous letter, but we're going to do it all in bits and pieces. What products are grown in Connecticut? Specific things. Where do most of the parents work? Where do you think that most of the parents work? Transportation. How do you get to school? How much traffic is around our school? What airports, train stations? Are there any docks right around here in Plainville? And the last is entertainment. What sites would you bring a visitor to see? This person just came from Mars, all right? Just landed here. Best friend, you haven't seen him in a long time. What would you take him to see in Plainville or in the area? It doesn't have to be right in Plainville. Could be something in downtown Hartford that you might want to take him to see, or something in Connecticut. What are sports? Which sports are prevalent here in Connecticut? What types of sports do you play? What major leagues do we have in Connecticut? And are there any special events that you do? All right, is everybody clear on their questions? So what I want you to do now is flip your paper over. In the groups, I want, in every group of two, listen carefully, in a group of two, I'm going to assign you two of these things to answer the questions on, right? The two of you, one person's going to do the writing. So right now, between the two of you, decide who's going to write and who's going to give information. People who are going to write, raise your hand. Who's writing? Who's writing? I'm waiting. Anthony, so you need a paper and a pencil. All right, everybody's squared away. You, this group, you're going to answer the questions on our school and our community. You're going to answer climate and economy. So you two are going to talk together. You are going to do landscape and transportation. You're going to do, you two, entertainment and go back and talk about our school. Ready? Those are the two. Get going. You're going to do community, you and Beth, community and our climate. Let's go. Why are you drawing? Community and climate. landscape and economy. You too. Talk about, answer all the questions under landscape and economy. Transportation and entertainment. You too. Our school and our community. You too. Climate and landscape. Go ahead. I don't know. What did I tell you?
How are we supposed to answer the students? The class or the whole school?
The whole school, but we'll have to get that information. Just go to the other ones.
So we're doing
You did, they did school and community. You did, I skipped landscape by mistake. Climate and economy. You were doing landscape and transportation. Okay, let's go.
The grades, do we just put how many grades are there or count all the classrooms?
The grades are just, what are the different grades? Are there 5 grades? Tell me the grades that are in the school.
Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade.
So you want, and then you want to make sure you list them, because if you just say 6, they could think maybe it's 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, right? So come on, let's move the body over here. Let's talk together. You don't need to use complete sentences. You can use little short answers.
kindergarten didn't count as a grade.
Why not?
In Florida, it doesn't.
Well, we're not in Florida, and that's a grade that's here, so we call it. Okay, what are we looking? What are you doing? What 2 were you doing?
Thinking about what things in communities.
All right, you're doing community. Well, community is what I assigned you?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, put a number 1. What did we say? Is it urban, suburban, or rural? Rural, which is it? It's up on the board, Kate. You can't see that far? You need to tell me that so I can move your desk closer. It's suburban. Do you see the big circle around it? So write suburban. And next, you 2 talk about where you think most people live. Do they live in apartments or they live in? And if you can't see, you can get your questions right off here, okay? How are we doing? Are you involved in answering these questions, or is Lydia doing them all? I hope not. Transportation. Good. Very good. See some good short answers. Okay, tell me what are the grades? Because if you just say 6 grades,
Kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth.
so you need to write all that down. Just put K. Well, all right, you're going to do summer. You take your pencil and you write about winter, and then compare. Okay, tell me about summer. Tell me about the weather.
Yeah, Miss Walker, it's 9. Do you count you for children?
For kids, for girls.
You think? You could say including our teacher if you'd like to add that. That would be fine. Tell me what we should bring as somebody to see in our school. Okay, why are you conversing with her? You 2 have different things. What do we have? You're describing what? Winter? And we did... Is this summer? Okay, you tell him what to write. You don't have to write in sentences yet.
Is it like mostly hills or flowers?
What do you think? Take a look outside. Think about when you drive around Connecticut, what would you find?
Flatland?
Okay, is it super flat? Is it like out at the prairie?
No.
So might it be a combination?
Yeah.
So write that we have hills and flatlands. We're not going to have one or the other.
I didn't think it was flatland.
And we even have a few mountains, but they're not very big mountains, are they? But we have a few. How are we doing? You're going to take them to see the classroom and the music room. Okay, fine. All right. And anything else? What else could we bring them to see? Okay, sure. What's the next thing that you're going to write about? All right, so draw a line, move down here, title it Entertainment. And then tell me what signs, what sites I should take someone to see if they come and visit. Come on. How are we doing?
My house, I have 4 apartments.
2 family houses. Okay, yeah, because you're going to find that. But what do most kids live in?
I think 2 apartments. 2 family apartments.
That's fine. That's good.
All the people I live in, like 4-story buildings.
All right, come on. Let's get going to the next one. What do we have? Do we have yards around our houses or do we have gardens?
A big yard. A garden like in the back.
Okay, so write that down. Yards are around you. They might have a garden in the back. Good. Do we have fences? Does everybody have fence? So, all right, so write down that some people have fences, but most don't. Okay? And you get ready to start your next one. How are we doing? We have the first one done? Is this all the first one?
Yeah, but we can't think of one more animal.
Well, then skip it. Go on to do your second one. Draw a line and do the second one now. How about you? Are you on your second one? Good. Are you done with your first one? Now start on the community. Get those answers done. How are you done? Did you finish? You haven't written anything yet. Jimmy, winter. Tell me about winter.
No, we just doesn't mean that it's dry here. It's
When is it dry?
They were talking about the air.
Yeah. Sometimes the air is dry. When is the air dry a lot in Connecticut?
Dry is like when it's very, very cold.
All right, so you have to add that. You have to say in the winter it can be very dry. Today is a very dry day, but it's not like a desert.
Crispy cold.
In the summer, it's not usually dry at all. Sometimes it's what? Humid, right? We have seasons. Now, come on, Jim. What do we do in the winter? Tell me what it's like outside right now.
Very cold.
So write that down. What did it do this weekend?
Don't we call the place we live in suburb?
Yeah, it's a suburb or suburban area, right? Can we call that? Are you two finished? You got both done?
Is our school down?
For what?
For buildings? For other buildings?
No, other buildings would be something else. What else is around here besides a school?
Junior high?
Well, that's another school. Can you think of some other big buildings that are around? Yeah, write that down, sure.